Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. All right, guys, so it's Andrew Goo Monday. I got Coach Goo with me today, and I got Coach Chris here also. So we're going to be talking about one of the toughest shots in tennis, the return of serve. So the job of the server is to hold serve, right? As you see in the pros, most guys hold serve a great percentage of the time. So you as a returner is obviously going to try to break that serve. Now, Coach Andrew here has a great return of serve. Now, I want to know from Coach Andrew, what are you thinking when that serve is about to come down on you? Like, what is in your mind? Like, do you know, like, okay, in that split second, you see that ball? Are you looking at ball toss? Are you looking at arch of the back? Are you looking at racket position? What are you looking at?
Great question. What I usually look at the server is usually how they position and how they toss as well. Basically looking for patterns. So when you start playing an opponent, you start to recognize certain patterns for certain favorite serves they have during crucial points or during certain plays. You start reading those cues out. Also, you want to start learning how to take away positioning, learning how to split step before you take the return of serve. So for me, and there's quite a lot of different key values, and just learning from how your opponent serves in those pressure situations. You just got to learn how to adjust and use your patterns.
Okay, so when you see a serve, let's say it's coming barreling down your forehand, you know, like a first serve, coming 120, let's say. What are you thinking? You take that one step in, the split step, and then you load up?
No. So for that situation, it's like a pretty big serve. You want to focus on learning how to hit a big target. So the biggest target in tennis is in the middle, right? If you hit it in the middle of the court and it's deep, a lot of people are not going to learn they're not going to penetrate it because it's such a great defensive ball, right? So what I'm thinking about is learning how to hit a big target, going high percentages. Like for me, if I'm on the deuce side, for example, I'm hitting my forehand returns cross court, and if I'm hitting a backhand return on the deuce side, I'm going actually down the line, because those are the more natural occurrences where they're going to be. But let's say if it's a big serve, I'm only aiming, or my thought process is putting that ball deep in the middle of the court.
Got it. Okay, so we're going to try a couple of those right now and show you what Coach Andrew's talking about. Okay, so at the point that the ball is on its way, Coach, what do we got to do? What do we got to get our bodies to do?
So the biggest thing is split step. With this, it's really important to have your split step. Without the split step, it's going to be really difficult to return these balls. The reason why we split step, in my opinion, is to get ready for the ball. When you split step, it helps you reset. It helps you search for the ball. And when you land, when you do the split step, when you land, the first step is explosive. It's like a trampoline when you jump off, right? So making sure that it helps you with one, timing, 2, with your explosiveness to the ball, and 3, the fluidity of moving to the ball.
Right. So Coach Chris, can you demonstrate that?
So what he was talking about is he likes sometimes, well, for me, an example, I like kind of watch to see where the serve's coming. As soon as he's about to serve, I'll take a few steps and then split. And depending on which side, it'll be either backhand or the forehand. I'll make sure my momentum's going forward. So if it's for the backhand side, right, I'll kind of look to see split and then moving forward. So momentum is going forward into the court.
Got it. And so what if ball goes out wide and it's on like here?
Right. So if the ball is wide, right, I kind of look to see where it's going, and I split, but I can take a few steps out here and track the ball that way. I don't really necessarily have to just go here. Right. If I have enough time, I can move from here after the split step, it's also telling me, okay, maybe I have a few seconds to move my body over here to meet the ball out here if I read it quick enough.
Are we taking our full swing?
No, so it's shortened swing. So as you notice, as soon as I split, right, it's just making sure that my swing is out in front. So for the forehand, right, short swing. Also for the backhand, making sure that as soon as I split, it's short, everything's out in front.
Right.
So it should be nice compact swings.
So you're basically taking the momentum of that big serve, of that kick serve, and using it to basically kind of drive back with a shorter, compact stroke. Is that right?
How I like to think about it is just like basically I'm trying to catch the ball on the racket and pushing it out.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Got it.
Yeah, so same thing with the backhand, making sure you catch it on your racket and you're pushing it out. That's why it's a lot of compact swinging. You're just using your momentum to kind of bring the ball into the court, pushing it into the court.
Okay, so you just witnessed a bunch of great goo returns on that forehand side. We even brought Chris in to the service line to serve from there to amp up that speed a little more. Why did we do that, Coach Chris?
Literally just what you said, just to make sure that you increase the speed as you're closer to the service line. It might replicate, someone who's serving 120, maybe 130. I've seen also, on the tour, when Nishikori would be practicing returner serves, maybe one of his coaches would stand on a box or something like that and serve a little bit more, so down on top of the court. So that way it just replicates someone who has taller, who has a big serve, maybe like an Isner or something like that.
Wow!
That's
I've never even heard of that one. That's great.
Yeah, so there's another way to work on the return.
Speaking of Nadal, though, why does Nadal stand against the wall back there, returning a serve?
So for Nadal, he's notoriously, and even team too as well. When you see them, they like to stand a little bit further back. It gives them a little bit more time, especially if they're big servers. But also gives more safety, more margin, so that way they can just hit, completely full out, and the ball will land in the court, no problem. And they can just take a big swing at it. But because they're so far back, the ball will likely land in.
So here's the downside of it then. So if you're standing against the wall, why wouldn't I go kick out and take something off of it? Would that be a good strategy?
Absolutely. So for the server too, you always take a look at where they're standing, right? If they're standing so far back, if chances are you could serve out wide or serve something like that would require them to be kind of a little bit more out of position. Just taking a look at their position is a huge deal for the server, and it depends also on the server if they're serving their first or second serve, right? Most likely on their second serve, they might be more pressured to make it in, and looking at compared to where the returner is standing, it could work where the returner is putting pressure on the server, like cutting off maybe a few angles by stepping in a little bit more too as well.
So what do we do on a second serve that somebody has a super kick on it to the backhand side, right? Those serves are super difficult to return. I mean, most people cut it back, right? So they slice it back just to get it back. Now, Coach, what would you do in that situation?
It was a second serve kick. My goal is to make sure that ball doesn't kick above my head. So when it bounces, when you think about a kick serve, it kicks up higher, right? After that initial bounce. So the biggest thing I'm thinking about is learning how to take that earlier, basically moving forward, so cutting off the angle. So what I do is basically all I think about is when I split step, my first step is trying to cut off the angle and predict where that ball is going to kick after that initial bounce. Afterwards, I'm trying to take it right up by my strike zone, not above here, but at least at my strike zone enough so that if I go for a target, I will at least go for a big target in the middle of the court, or if it's on the do side, it would be on the down the line. If it was on the ad side, I would be going cross court. But basically, very high percentage returns to the targets, and learning how to just take time away, not allowing the ball to kick over my head, just trying to cut it off early and taking it on.
Coach Chris, I'm sure you've seen some big kickers in your day from the pros there on tour. What would be your strategy?
Yeah, goose strategy is great too as well. Making sure you take it on the rise definitely helps, put pressure on the server. But there's also another way too as well, staying back, giving yourself a little bit more time, so that when the kick serve, after the server serves it, when that ball comes back down a little bit more, then you can swing out at it a little bit more. Just basically waiting for, as soon as it reaches its height, it kind of also comes down a little bit, and then swinging out at it too as well. That helps a lot too. But you do give up court positioning, obviously. But there's another way to deal with it, and obviously if you are playing against your opponent first time, kind of seeing what he's got in his arsenal, whether he's got really good strong kick serve, or a slice serve or a flat serve. That all factors into how you want to take it on.
Okay, so we're going to show you some right now. Stay tuned. So I just served Coach Chris some body shots, which is one of the hardest serves to return. Coach Chris, how do you return a body shot?
So the first thing that you're looking at is if that serve is going more towards the backhand side or the forehand side. Either which side, you want to make sure that you do the split step too as well. It's really important, and that way you're ready, if it's coming to the forehand side or the backhand side.
So the positioning that he does actually is when he splits, he chooses a side, he actually steps away. For example, what I mean by that is when he split steps, let's say he's going for his backhand, he actually steps with his right foot. So therefore when he splits, he steps out with his right foot, he gets out of the way actually, and when that ball comes, he has enough space to go forward and catch it in front of him, yet he's still moving forward with his right leg, cutting through the court and going through. The same thing with the forehand. He actually steps away, he splits, he steps to the left. You see how even though I'm getting out of the way, creating space for the forehand, I'm still putting my weight on the front foot. I'm getting the ball with space, and my racket's out in front, and I'm finishing all the way through. So there's a reason why we always split step, is so therefore when we react, our first step is super explosive, so we can quickly get out the way whenever we need to.
Okay, so sounds like split step is super, super important here. When do we split step though? Like at the toss, at impact?
I would say just before impact. The reason why I say just before impact is when you see the server about to hit that ball just before he makes contact, that's when we start our split in mid-air, so we're jumping already. Basically when he makes contact, we're already landing down, we're coming down, and basically when that ball reaches to that spot, we'll be on the floor searching for where it would be.
Okay, so for those people who aren't as good as you guys, what kind of tips can you give them to kind of initiate a better return?
Can we go with
Coach?
I think the biggest thing is if the serve is coming at you really fast, I'd say take a few steps back from the baseline. That way it gives you a little bit more time. Timing is really important as you're returning, so that's probably one of my first tips is either on the do side or the ad side, take a few steps back, and then that way it'll give you more time to see what kind of serve is coming away, and then doing it properly with the split step, making sure that you're going into the court with your returns.
All right, so Coach Gu has got a drill to show you to help your return of serves. All right, can you explain it, please, Coach Gu?
So we're gonna work on our bounce feed returns. So the biggest thing about this return or this drill is our split step, how we react to that first serve or second serve. So what Coach Chris is gonna do, he's gonna actually bounce this ball, kind of bounce off the floor, and it's gonna be quick. It's gonna mimic like a first serve. Our goal in this drill is to make sure we split on time and have our tape back short and compact. So every time he hits it, we're already ready. Split step is engaged, and our turn is right away. It's short and compact. And afterwards, when we have that split, we keep going forward and finish all the way through. Same thing in the backhand. Of our split, your first step, always going forward. So for some tips and advice, if it's a little too hard for you, you can actually start further back when you hit the return. The reason why is you can let the ball come to you a little more, and therefore you can have time to split step. And also the trick behind a return is try to also get it in front of you. The reason why, if you get it behind, you're going to be playing blind and you're not going to see where the ball is going to be, right? So make sure that one, if it's too fast for you, start further back. But if it's on time, just keep going forward and working that split step as well. And also too, the key is to make sure that that ball is always in front of you, so you know where that ball is at all times.
So guys, check out what we just taught you. Coach Gu and Coach Chris just taught you a lot. So take it slow, start with the hand toss or the racket toss one, and go from there, okay? Remember to split step. Any closing remarks, Coach?
I would say just have fun with this. It's all about timing, really, about the returns. It's timing, split step, and getting the ball out in front of you.
All right, so where can we find you on Instagram?
You can find me at agu.tennis, and I'll also be posting this content there.
All right. Coach Chris, any closing remarks?
Yeah, the biggest thing is if you feel like you're struggling with the returns, I would say step back first behind the baseline, maybe a few feet back. That way you can see what kind of serve is coming your way. Gives you a little bit more time to swing at it. That's my advice.
Perfect. So where can we find you on Instagram?
You can find me at Christopher Chien, Chien.
All right. So I would like to thank Coach Gu and Coach Chris for joining me today on this great return of serve video. Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.